Apparently, there's some jealousy that might be manifesting itself into physical inappropriate.
Stepping back, the entire situation reveals how modern sports function as a blend of competition, entertainment, business, and narrative all at once. A single player's rise can trigger discussions about fairness, recognition, marketability, and league identity simultaneously. What might once have remained locker room chatter now unfolds in real time across television panels and social media threads, where every opinion spreads instantly and invites counterarguments just as quickly. O'Reilly's commentary didn't create these tensions, but it amplified them by giving them a headline-ready voice. In doing so, he ensured that what might have been a niche debate among dedicated fans became a mainstream topic. That amplification is powerful. When a narrative reaches mass audiences, it can influence how future events are interpreted before they even happen. A routine foul can be seen as proof of a theory. A standard celebration can be framed as a statement. Context begins to shape perception as much as the action itself. For players, that environment adds another layer of pressure. They're not only competing against opponents, they're competing against narratives forming around them. Every gesture, reaction, and expression can be replayed and analyzed. Maintaining focus under that microscope requires unusual mental discipline. Some thrive under it, using attention as fuel. Others find it exhausting. The larger question now isn't just about one commentator's claims or one player's treatment. It's about how the league, its athletes, and its audience interpret what they're seeing. Are intense moments signs of hostility, or simply evidence of fierce competition at the highest level? Are narratives clarifying reality, or distorting it? Those questions don't have quick answers, which is why they continue to circulate. What is certain is that the spotlight isn't dimming anytime soon. As long as performances remain compelling and conversations remain heated, attention will stay fixed. And in professional sports, sustained attention, whether celebratory or critical, often becomes the very force that shapes the next chapter of the story.
Caitlin Clark is being fouled at a record rate. Some of them are brutal fouls, and a lot of the refs are looking the other way. And the women fouling her are...
Financial indicators have also become part of the discussion. Reports and estimates circulating among analysts suggest that franchise valuations and market visibility connected to her presence have risen sharply. Observers point to increased sponsorship deals, stronger merchandise movement, and heightened broadcast interest as signs that her influence extends beyond the hardwood. In professional sports economics, even the perception of rising value can reshape negotiations, investments, and long-term planning. Yet alongside those positive indicators, debate persists about how she's treated during games. Some commentators argue that certain defensive sequences appear unusually aggressive, interpreting them as attempts to rattle her confidence or disrupt her rhythm. Others insist such plays fall within normal competitive boundaries and reflect nothing more than opponents doing everything possible to slow down a high-scoring threat. The disagreement illustrates how the same moment can produce radically different interpretations depending on the viewer's perspective. A hard foul might look strategic to one analyst and excessive to another. A heated exchange might appear routine to veterans but startling to newer fans. In high-visibility situations, perception often matters as much as reality, because perception shapes public narrative. What keeps the conversation alive is the contrast between her measurable impact and the scrutiny she faces. On one hand, she's credited with drawing fresh attention and commercial energy. On the other, each physical play involving her becomes a talking point. That tension fuels ongoing debate about whether she's simply experiencing the spotlight that accompanies stardom or encountering something more pointed. Leagues throughout sports history have faced similar moments when a breakout figure changes the scale of attention. Some navigated those transitions smoothly, turning the surge into sustained growth. Others struggled, allowing controversy to overshadow opportunity. Observers watching this situation closely are essentially asking which path this league will follow and whether the response to its newest sensation will shape its future reputation.
But it's just misstep after misstep. It's time to grow up, girls, like fast. Like this is the player that got you off the airline that was bright yellow. Right?
When Bill O'Reilly publicly criticized how the WNBA has handled the rise of Caitlin Clark, his remarks didn't just spark debate, they detonated a league-wide conversation that instantly spilled into sports media, talk shows, podcasts, and social platforms. According to his commentary, what viewers are witnessing isn't simply hard fouls, aggressive defense, or standard rookie hazing that many young stars experience when they enter a professional league. He argued that something deeper is brewing beneath the surface, something emotional rather than tactical. In his framing, the physical play and heated moments surrounding Clark signal underlying resentment rather than routine competition. O'Reilly suggested that the intensity directed at her goes beyond basketball strategy and crosses into psychological territory, claiming that jealousy, frustration, and personal animosity may be shaping how some opponents approach her on the court. He portrayed the situation as a clash between a rapidly ascending newcomer and an established system unsure how to react to her sudden influence. His tone implied that what might look like isolated incidents could actually be part of a broader pattern, one that he believes deserves scrutiny rather than dismissal. Supporters of his view argue that Clark's entrance has dramatically altered public attention toward the league, bringing new audiences, television ratings spikes, and sponsorship interest that weren't previously as pronounced. Critics, however, counter that physical defense has always been part of professional basketball and that interpreting routine contact as targeted hostility risks exaggerating normal competitive behavior. That divide in interpretation is exactly why his comments spread so quickly. They tapped into an already simmering debate about whether Clark is being treated like any other high-profile rookie or facing something unusually intense. What makes his claims particularly provocative is the implication that league culture itself could be influencing player behavior. He didn't present his perspective as a casual opinion, he framed it as an observation drawn from patterns he believes are visible in game footage, foul statistics, and media reactions. That framing transformed a sports discussion into a broader cultural argument, ensuring it would reach far beyond basketball fans. The reaction was immediate and polarized. Some audiences viewed his statements as bold truth-telling, while others saw them as oversimplified or inflammatory. But regardless of where people stood, one thing became undeniable: the conversation shifted. Instead of focusing only on scores and highlights, attention turned toward motives, perceptions, and the emotional dynamics shaping competition. And once a narrative like that takes hold, it rarely fades quietly.
Caitlin Clark has had a seismic impact on the WNBA ever since she first joined. Merchandise sales.
When Clark first stepped onto a professional court, her arrival felt less like a debut and more like an eruption. She didn't gradually ease into the spotlight, she burst into it with the momentum of a player already carrying national recognition. Ticket demand surged, television audiences expanded, and merchandise sales climbed at a pace that surprised even longtime observers. The Indiana Fever, a franchise that had struggled with attendance in previous seasons, suddenly found arenas filling to capacity, not only at home but on the road as well. Opposing venues reported noticeable spikes in ticket interest whenever her team appeared on the schedule. Broadcasters highlighted her games more frequently. Sponsors aligned campaigns around her appearances. In professional sports, that kind of immediate commercial impact is rare, especially for a newcomer. It signaled that she wasn't just another rookie prospect, she was a market-moving presence. Such rapid influence can reshape expectations. Fans begin anticipating highlight performances every night. Commentators analyze each possession more closely. Opponents prepare more intensely. The spotlight grows brighter, and with it comes heightened scrutiny. Every missed shot is dissected. Every turnover is replayed. Every foul draws debate. The same attention that fuels popularity can also magnify pressure. Supporters see her rise as a transformative moment capable of expanding the league's reach to new audiences. They point to increased viewership and social engagement as signs that her presence is elevating overall interest. Skeptics caution that relying too heavily on a single star can create unrealistic narratives and overshadow the contributions of other players who have spent years building the league's reputation. What's undeniable is that her entrance changed the conversation. Instead of discussions centered solely on standings and statistics, analysts began talking about cultural impact, marketing value, and long-term growth potential. That shift alone marked a turning point. Whether praised or criticized, she became the focal point of attention, and once a league's spotlight narrows onto one figure, every interaction involving that figure carries amplified significance.
Increase over 600%, league app engagement over 600%, subscriptions to League Pass over 400%, and the team she plays for, the Indiana Fever.
The broader argument he raised centers on the idea that Clark's treatment reflects forces extending beyond the boundaries of basketball strategy. He suggested that multiple factors, competitive pride, generational differences, media narratives, and cultural perceptions, might be intersecting at once. In his telling, the situation isn't about one foul or one confrontation. It's about an environment where symbolism and perception amplify every interaction. He claimed that many observers had quietly suspected such dynamics but hesitated to say so publicly, either to avoid controversy or to prevent misinterpretation. By voicing the theory outright, he effectively forced the topic into the open, where it could be debated rather than whispered about. That move alone guaranteed attention, because discussions involving identity, recognition, and fairness rarely remain confined to sports pages. Some analysts responded by noting that star players in every era, regardless of background, often face especially physical defense because opponents want to test them. From that perspective, what Clark is experiencing could simply be the standard initiation that elite talents encounter when they enter professional competition. Others, however, argue that the frequency of intense moments involving her suggests something more deliberate. O'Reilly framed the league as standing at a crossroads: embrace a rapidly rising star as a centerpiece attraction or risk appearing resistant to the very figure drawing new interest. He implied that organizations sometimes struggle when sudden popularity centers on one individual, particularly if that popularity shifts public attention away from established names. In that sense, his commentary wasn't only about Clark, it was about how institutions adapt or fail to adapt to sudden change. Regardless of whether one agrees with his conclusions, his remarks succeeded in spotlighting a question that now follows nearly every game she plays: are the reactions she faces purely competitive, or are they shaped by broader forces? That question has no simple answer, which is precisely why it continues to circulate. In modern sports culture, narratives can become almost as influential as performances, and once a narrative gains traction, it can redefine how every play is interpreted.